Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your very first gameplay of the F-5A. That's right, this is a currently rank 7, battle rating 11.0 event jet fighter for the Swedish Air Tech Tree, though of course flies under the Norwegian flag. And this is the top level reward for the Freedom Fighter event here in War Thunder. That being said, this vehicle is pretty much going to be about the same as your standard F-5A, F-5C, which if you don't know, the F-5C is basically just an F-5A, except this does have some improvements. So if you look here at the stat card, not that great for 11.0 BR in terms of its overall performance stats. I'm just going to go switch over to the F5C here. As you can see, has the same exact top speed, turn time, rate of climb, all of that. And that's because, again, this is more or less the same exact plane. It even has the same exact engines. Now, there are some minor differences, like when it comes to the nose here, it's flat. For whatever reason, it's not flat on the F5C. Not entirely sure why. I'm sure it has some real-life purpose, it just isn't shown here in War Thunder. But otherwise, the big difference here that the F-5AG has over the earlier F-5A and C is the fact that this has AIM-9L Sidewinders. Now, these are all-aspect missiles, which is really, really good, but because of that, we do see a BR increase to 11.0. This also has access to the AGM-119 Penguin missile, which is an anti-shipping missile. In theory, it could go after ground targets, and it does have some success in doing so, but in my testing of it, you can only really target ground targets at like 2 kilometers with this thing, which is not incredibly useful. But if it does actually end up hitting the ground target, it will be able to destroy it in one hit, so it does have some use cases. Otherwise, an important thing to note here is that when the dev blog for this vehicle first came out, it was showcased as having the AIM-9L eyes, which were basically AIM-9Ls but with IRCCM, which basically means that they are flare resistant. However, they changed that for whatever reason to the AIM-9Ls. I think for balancing reasons, because if this thing as an F5C or an F5A basically got all the way up to the point in BR where it would be acceptable to have IRCCM on the missiles, it would probably be incredibly outclassed. So I think that's why they kind of tuned it down to the AIM-9Ls. That being said, let's go ahead and get into a few matches here, see how this thing does, and have a good time. Let's get into it. So here we are with the F-5AG. Hopefully this guy doesn't notice that, and he does. Oh, that's kind of fortunate for me, but not really, I guess. But here we are with the F-5AG. We have this F-4EJ wanting to turn in on me, and he will, briefly. We're going to go turn a little bit against him. Launch that. Keep turning. I don't know why this guy wants to get into a turning fight with me. We have a kill and hopefully a second kill. We do. That's how you do it, guys. So when it comes to this vehicle, you just saw probably the best case scenario real quick, like between two vehicles. And so I like I love the F5 in terms of how they fly, everything about them. They are just wonderful, awesome, fun little planes. My issue is that this thing is a high BR, which really is going to end up being kind of a detriment, in my opinion. So this thing, it really doesn't have very good performance for its BR. It doesn't have good missiles, again, for its BR. I'm just going to take a shot at this guy. I know I'm not going to get the kill, but getting an assist is fine. This thing really lacks a whole lot of things. I mean, it has mediocre. It's only got 6. You know, I'm not even gonna go for him. Don't want to even chance getting the kill or stealing the kill. But this thing only has 60 countermeasures. AIM-9Ls, they're meh. You know, I mean, like they're good, but at the same time, they're also kind of meh, if you will. They're not really all that great. This thing has very good maneuverability, but when you're dealing with engines like this, you know, I mean, they're kind of iffy, in truth, because maneuverability can only go so far, and then once you lose your energy, if you can't get your energy back quickly, which is kind of an issue with these, then you're kind of stuck. And so it's a low-performing aircraft for 11.0 BR, and in some ways, I almost kind of wish that this vehicle had the IRCCM missiles, the AIM-9LIs. Man, they are doing some funky stuff here. Okay, we have ourselves a hit. That almost looked like it should have been a kill, but I almost kind of wish that this had the AIM-9LIs, because at least it would have something good Right now, though, it just doesn't really have much of anything at all. And so it's just got decent enough missiles for this BR, but nothing special, and really just subpar performance. Guns are pretty good, but they're not amazing. You know, and it's just kind of a weird thing. So just right off the bat, you know, being again that this is the first match, I could easily see this plane doing quite well in down tiers, kind of like what I have now. But in an up tier, probably not. So that said, we already have our first match done here. I got 3 kills, 2 by way of gun, 1 through the AIM-9Ls. So let's go ahead and get into the next match. I think this match is pretty much over, barring some further kill. I'm actually really surprised that he hasn't died yet. But, and also, just so you guys know, when it comes to any sort of event vehicle, marketplace vehicle, pack vehicle, Golden Eagle vehicle, whatever, right? Like something that you could use, that you could purchase via actual money, or at least close enough to actual money, then I especially like to show you guys exactly what these vehicles are all about, give my honest criticisms of them, because it's, you know, it's useless if you just kind of go out and say, oh, this is great, you should go buy it, you know, without any serious criticism of it. And this vehicle is it's good, but bad in many ways as well. So that said, let's get into the next match. So here we are in the second match with the F-5A, and just to kind of go over some strengths on this thing, because I know I kind of, you know, went over a lot of its weaknesses in the first match. But when it comes to its strengths, I mean, like I said, initially, this thing really doesn't have good performance, and that's true. You know, it can hardly break Mach 1 in most instances, which at 11.0 BR is not very good. Now, if this was like a dedicated subsonic fighter with like more, or subsonic aircraft rather, with more missiles and all that, then it might be forgivable. But this thing is, it's kind of like a gunfighter transplanted into like the missile fighting age. And it's a bit weird because of that. But what I will say is that despite the fact that it has, again, mediocre performance, and that's being kind with it, it really can turn quite well. This vehicle does have excellent turning performance. I'm going to go ahead and missile this guy. Hopefully he doesn't do anything to shrug off my missile, and he won't. Perfect. This thing has really good turning performance relative to other aircraft at and around this BR, which is nice. You know, genuinely. It's not something that you're necessarily guaranteed at this BR, especially when there are so many things like F4s flying around that can be okay under some circumstances when it comes to maneuverability, but they are not light fighters. They are very, very heavy, chunky boy fighters, and so this is kind of like one of the last gunfighters, so to speak, at least BR-wise. So we have this MiG-23. Hopefully he doesn't notice me, and you know what? I'm gonna go for... Okay, I'm gonna... Oh. I hate having those, what was it? Not shock cones, but, basically, like, the effects that you get from whatchamacallits. Ah, that sucks. From going supersonic. I couldn't see crap. Not to curse. But, you know what? This guy is coming down. Hopefully I can hit him. Maybe not. Slap on those E-brakes. Air brakes. Okay, we have a hit. That's fine. I'll let the my ally get him. But like I said, I mean, like, look at my speed right now. Not good. By any means. You know, like, I'm going 800 kilometers per hour. Not really gaining speed quickly at all. Let's see if I can get myself a hit on this guy. We got ourselves a crit. Works for me, and an assist. So we have ourselves 2 assists, 1 kill. Not bad, in my opinion. Like I said, I mean, the whole point of this sort of gameplay, I'm doing this to showcase these vehicles, the good and the bad. And I mean, 1 kill, 2 assists, in my mind, is not bad. You know, that's not a bad match. So... ultimately, thus far, I can tell you guys this. Again, it is a limited aircraft. It has mediocre, relative to BR, mediocre acceleration and top speed. It has a very limited amount of missiles. Like, the AIM-9Ls at this BR, thankfully, are usable. Again, part of me kind of wishes that I could take the AIM-9LIs with this thing, or at least it would give me the option to use the AIM-9LIs, and if I use those, it would increase the BR, because, I don't know. But it is a bit limited. So, I like this aircraft, kind of, but personally, I don't really necessarily think that's much better than... It's really not even better than, like, the AIM-9, or the F-5A and the F-5C. This is basically just a little... Actually, you know what? It might be a little bit better, because, I mean, you could argue that an AIM-9E to an AIM-9L, even in spite of the BR increase, does actually help this thing out a little bit. So, you know what? I'm going to give the edge to this over the F-5C, but not necessarily by all too much. Again, I mean, this thing, it's a fish out of water at and around this BR. So, as I said, I'm not going to be able to get myself any more air-to-air kills. At least I don't suspect I will, just because this match is practically over. You know what? Unless this guy gets close enough to me, which I doubt, but... That said, assuming that I don't get any more kills, let's get into the final air-to-air match, see what we could do. And then I might go ahead and test out the Penguin in, like, test drive mode. Simply because the Penguin, again, it has such a limited range that by doing it in test drive mode, it's like the most sterile environment possible, where you can see actually how mediocre the air-to-ground range is on that weapon. Whereas, again, when it comes to air-to-ship, it's actually quite good. It's got a really nice range. Air-to-ground, not so much. So here we are in the final match here with this gameplay in the F-5AG. And I'll tell you guys this. You know, quite honestly, I'd probably rather use a MiG-21 BIS or any of the the BIS variants, like the Lazar M, for example, over this. It's just two... You only have 2 missiles, you know? And this thing, as much as I love gunfighting, genuinely, gunfighting in War Thunder, when it comes to aircraft, is like my bread and butter. I absolutely love it. But at this BR, it's just a bit untenable, unfortunately. And so it becomes a bit of an issue, regardless of how good the plane is. And the fact of the matter is that this is just... It's an old platform. The F-5A, no matter how much I love the F-5A, and trust me, guys, I do love the F-5A, or just the F-5 in general. Like, I prefer the F-5E, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. So, no matter how good this platform is, you know, it's almost like an American MiG. It just, I don't know. At its BR, kind of like how I predicted, it struggles. It struggles in up tiers pretty mightily. You know, I mean, is it going to lose all the time? No. I mean, like, I got myself some kills, and, you know, I could just as easily say, like, oh, I struggle in up tiers pretty mightily, because that would probably be more accurate. But I struggle in up tiers with this aircraft pretty mightily. You know, and so it's just, it's one of those things where I would fire, well, yeah, I would fire a missile on that guy, but I figured he would flare me out. Plus, the sun's interference, not really a good, you know, bet that would actually hit. But either way, if I had to give this thing on a scale of like 1 to 10, 5 being average, 1 being terrible, like the worst, 10 being the absolute best, I'd probably give this thing like a 5, 5.25. You know, like, it's a great gunfighter, but its engines let it down quite a bit. It doesn't have a lot of what one might hope for when it comes to, farts. Ooh, oh, look at that! Doesn't have a lot of what one might hope for when it comes to an aircraft at and around this BR, quite honestly. I like it a lot, it just isn't a full aircraft, so to speak, for me. So let's see if we can get ourselves a few hits, and we can! A severe kill! What is that? 3 kills now, and 2 of them with my guns? Again, this thing is a great gunfighter. It'll put you in the position you need to be in order to get yourself some gun kills, but that's just not going to be... Unfortunately, it's not going to... Oh, I'm out of flares. It's just not going to necessarily be an incredibly common experience. There we go. Another severe... I just threw away a position, or a chance to get another nice and easy kill. No biggie. So, I don't know. Do I like this thing? Yeah, don't get me wrong. I got myself 4 kills. it's just not an incredible aircraft at this BR. You know, it's okay, but the engines are way underpowered. It loses speed very quickly. It, you know, it's only got 2 missiles. Again, I'd rather use a MiG-21 BIS pretty much any day of the week. Even though those missiles aren't quite as good as AIM-9Ls, you get 6 of them, and it's a faster aircraft. This thing, good aircraft, just I could understand why a lot of people might not like it. So that said, let's just get into, I guess, I'm just going to show you guys what the Penguin missile can do, and that'll be the end of the video. Okay, so here we are with the Penguin. Let's just go target that frigate out there. 11-kilometer lock. Easy, easy lock. Now, let's just go ahead and wait a little bit to reload that, and I'll show you exactly why it doesn't lock onto MBTs or really anything on the ground until it's pretty much too late. But I'll show you that once again this thing gets reloaded. Okay, so here we have the Penguin. You know, I'm just going to show you guys. So currently, there are no options for me to, like, there's no targeting, like, nothing that I could switch to that allows me to target any better, really, which really sucks, in my opinion. So we're just going to go ahead and try to target one of these MBTs over here. Okay, that's amazing. That's actually the first time where it allowed me to target anywhere close. Let's try that again. I've never had a target that quick and from that far, so maybe they fixed it. Who knows? Oh, and there we go. So I think that targeted, like, the area next to it. But we're just going to go ahead and, again, we're like 2 point however many kilometers away. It's just not targeting, not targeting, not targeting, and we finally get ourselves a target. Is this going to get the kill? And it does. So, I mean, like, you have to get to, again, within around 2 kilometers in order for those things to actually hit. Otherwise, you know, you have to rely on dumb bombs and whatnot, and you don't have ballistic computers with this vehicle, unfortunately. So, it is what it is. I feel like this is usable for CAS, but it's pretty much just like a slightly better F-5C. F-5A when it comes to CAS, because again, even though the Penguin does require you to get really close, it is at least another option for you to have. But that said, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. Again, I don't really think that this is an amazing vehicle. It's just very limited when it comes to performance, and I feel like that's going to be the issue that most people are going to have with it. It's just, yeah, see, it locks onto the area right next to it a lot. This vehicle just, I don't know, there's a lot of flaws with it. Personally, I don't think at this point, like, bear in mind, again, this is an event vehicle, so it's not going to give you any sort of, wow, it actually hit that. Okay, I guess you can occasionally get a lock from a slightly longer than 2 kilometer range. But that said, I just don't think that this thing is worth more than $30, $35 on the marketplace. That's just me. You know, it is what it is. It's not all that great of a vehicle. I'd rather just get yourself the F-5C. You're pretty much getting the same exact aircraft, except, again, with AIM-9Es instead of AIM-9Ls. But that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.